There we go. Let's get Facebook in here. We can start the show. The wheels spinning on this cold Friday morning out here in Denver, at least. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. I am Nick Kendall. This is Eric Trickle. This is Broncos for Breakfast. This is Summit. Good morning, Summit. We're here to talk a little AFC Championship. Eric, how are you doing? I'm excited for the game. I've been feeling really bad about Bo Nix and everything. Just, more so for him. Also, like the fans kind of were missing Bo Nix versus Drake May version 1, but it is what it is. Injuries happen. Just the reality, and seems like the Broncos got some confidence going into this one, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for the game, but I am also exhausted. It was a very busy week, moving stuff around and everything like that as we replace shelving. So I am physically exhausted. Moving a bunch of Lego sets, that's a lot more tiring than it thinks, or than one may think. But yeah, I'm excited for the game, and I've kind of part of what has me excited isn't just the confidence the Broncos have, but it's the chatter that seems to be coming out of the locker room. They seem really poised on, picking up the torch and carrying on and, going out there and winning this one for Bo Nix. A lot of heartbreak within the locker room for him, but they know that they need to step up. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. The defense, especially, they know that they haven't been good enough. I've heard some conversations about certain players taking accountability for their issues since, basically the mini bye week after that first Raiders game. And hopefully that they can go out there and pick it up. As I said on Sunday when we did the show, I'm more concerned about this defense than I am, the change at quarterback. And I'm not meaning that as a slight on Bo Nix, but I mean that this defense has had a lot of issues since that mini bye week. And the Patriots are a team that they can directly attack that. So I'm excited for it, but I'm also really nervous for this one.
Yeah, it should be. I expect it to be a good one. I mean, what is the spread actually went back towards Broncos' favor? I think recently got to 5.5, and now it's 4.5. Now that might be the onslaught of good injury news happening out here in the Mile High City. But yeah, it's said it before, said it a few times. Denver's playing with house money. I really do think they got a chance in this one. We'll pick up the result at the end of this game. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go when we do say the final score. And I'm not going to also probably send the exact same one to Chad for my final one, but we'll see. Which reminds me, I probably should send that to Chad here pretty soon. But as both Dylan and Eric nod their head, yes. It's been an onslaught at work. Also, as you can probably tell, I have a cold coming on now. So just, the fun of daycare. But what's also fun, Michael Ronquillo. Good morning, Nick and Eric on Broncos for Breakfast. Go Bo Broncos. Good to see you, Michael. He also doing our job for us. He says, hit those thumbs up, subscribe to Mile High Huddle podcast on YouTube, become a member of the Mount Rushmore support, and join the Mile High Huddle podcast Discord. Go Bo Broncos. Well, go Michael. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well, and hope you are staying warm down there in Tucson. A lot of the country is going to get absolutely walloped this weekend. So I woke up this morning, took the dog out, and it was 6 degrees, and I don't think I've seen 6 degrees in years. So yeah, I'm soft. The Pacific Northwest has made me soft. I'm a temperate little boy now. Dave Glassman, happy birthday to me. Well, happy birthday, Dave. That's amazing. All I want is a conference championship. Is that too much to ask? It's not too much to ask, but I can't do anything for you, and I can't guarantee it. So also, I have a feeling that once you get that, you're going to be asking for a Super Bowl championship as well, because it's always the goals shift as you do well. So we'll see, but happy birthday to Dave, and everybody in the chat. Make sure that you are saying happy birthday to one of our Mile High Huddle members and longtime supporter of the show and constant commenter as well. So appreciate you, Dave. You didn't say how old you're turning, so I can't wish you a number anyway, but my birthday is coming up here in like 2 weeks as well. So yeah, it's right around the same age. I don't know if that makes you an Aquarius. I don't believe in any of that hoopla anyway, but it's silly, funny. It's like fantasy football for crystal people, but whatever. Landon coming in. Can't wait for Sunday. Haven't been sleeping good. I want the same thing too. Happy birthday, brother. Good to see you, Landon. Our guy QB Easy, changing your name there, Quentin, says good morning, everyone. Appreciate you. David Yunkin in the house. David, hope your health's doing well. Morning for those who don't believe in this team, it would be a shock. But for those who believe in this team, it wouldn't be a shock. I think it would be somewhat surprising just because you don't know what Jarrett Stidham is going to be, but Vegas is telling you it's 4.5. So really, I think I read it from Aaron Schatz, who I don't know if ESPN poached him, Eric, or if he's doing ESPN and FTN work now, but he's been writing for ESPN. And the 4.5 spread is essentially like a 1-3 shot that Denver wins this game. So I'll take those odds. I think 1-3 is solid. I mean, it's Denver would probably be favored if they had Bo Nix, and it's not a shot at Jarrett Stidham. It's just the unknown variable and a quarterback who has not had a meaningful rep since 2023, I think. So it's a really weird circumstance, but man, this team's going to go out there and fight like hell. So we're going to be proud of them, I think, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, and it's there's a lot with both teams that are very concerning with how the Patriots offense matches up with this defense. And Drake May, with all that he's done, and the fact that he's almost as good against man as he is zone, almost as good against non-blitzing as he is blitzing. Like it makes him very tough to defend against. And then the Patriots run game is doing significantly better. I can't remember the DVOA stats, but I was reading Schatz's preview for this. And I think week 9 is when the splits happened for the Patriots. And ever since week 9, the Patriots run game is doing better and the Broncos run game is doing worse, or the run defense is doing worse, and the defense in general is doing worse since then. So it's a tough one for that. And then offensively, obviously used quarterback, but Denver's getting some really good news on the injury front there. It really does sound like J.K. Dobbins, Luke Wattenberg, Lucas Kroll, Pat Bryant, and maybe even Troy Franklin. He seems to be the one that's still in limbo at the moment, as all being good for this one. And so how much they'll be used, especially J.K. Dobbins, that remains to be seen, but that seems to be good. It's all good news on the injury front, and that can help alleviate some of the pressure of Jarrett Stidham, who the fact that even though he was with the Patriots, the fact that he hasn't played since 2023 to end out the season, no one really knows what he's going to bring. No one knows what this offense is going to look like for him. We don't know how much he's improved, or if he has improved at all, because even preseason action can be a little bit misleading for it when you're the backup quarterback. So it's an interesting one, and I'm really curious to see what they can do with Jarrett Stidham leading the helm. But this Patriots defense, they're tough, and they've ever since Zach Kerr took over play calling, they've gotten far more aggressive, which is very concerning for a quarterback making his first start.
Yeah, the Patriots defense is, I wouldn't necessarily say talented, but like they don't have a lot of aces, if you will. But Vrabel and Kerr have them playing good football. They are unbelievably blitz happy. This is probably one of the highest blitz rate teams in football. They love to send an extra defensive back as well, and you're going to see a lot of mug looks from the linebackers. So we'll see. I think a really underrated key to this game is having Wattenberg back at center as well, especially with the change at quarterback that's happening. Just because, I mean, Forsythe played, Eric, you always roll your eyes when I use this word, but like he's a backup 7th round pick. He played admirably. Not good.
He did.
Admirably. But the Broncos' ability versus the blitz and picking up blitzes deteriorated drastically from Wattenberg to Forsythe. So getting Wattenberg back against a blitz-happy team with a new quarterback in there is going to be huge. I mean, I really think that that's one of the most underrated aspects of this game. So we'll see how it plays out. But David Youngkin coming in. Thank you, David. Hope you're doing well. We got Patrick Espinoza coming in, says go Broncos over on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, click the thumbs up. We're one viewer away from 69. Nice on that side of things, just the Facebook. But click the thumbs up. We got Ernie Mays in the house too. There's 60. Somebody left once we got 69. That's a bummer. Ernie Mays, go Broncos. Country only believe in our Broncos. And we need a Stidham version of belief as well. But the belief still lives. Appreciate you, Ernie. Hope you're doing well. Flying Anger Pig. Good morning, Stiddy City. Good morning to you. Like the profile picture. I not bit the bullet. I'll be a follower on this. I did put my own little pizzazz on it on Twitter, placing Long's Peak, one of the farthest north 14,000 footer in Colorado, and the only one in Rocky Mountain National Park, in the background as well, because I had to stick with the mountain theme. But we're a part of Stiddy City over here, and we're hoping for the best. And I mean, gosh, let's turn on the Xbox for a second, Eric. Stiddy plays so well. Broncos flip them for a first-round pick or multiple day 2 picks in the Super Bowl, even if they don't. And the Broncos win. Screw it. We're playing Xbox. Let's do it. So we'll see. I mean, he's got a chance to be a legend, and Sean Payton has a chance to put his name in pen as a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's already a Hall of Fame coach, but if you win the Super Bowl with Stidham, I mean, it's the only coach to ever do it with 2 teams as head coach as well. I mean, yeah, book it. Sean Payton, Hall of Fame coach. I know that I've had some back and forth on Twitter from some folks when I've said that before, but this was really solidify it.
Yeah, he's a great coach. And we've said that before, even though I've raised up some of the issues that I do have with him, it's still been a fact that he is a very good coach, and he really does understand how to use his players to his max. But still, play calling has been really rough as of late. But you can still, 2 things can be true. He can still be a great coach and still have issues with play calling. It happens. He actually talked about it, not this last week, but the week leading up to the Bills game about, and I can't remember the exact quote, but he's like, play callers, eventually they have that time where their light fades, and I just got to make sure it doesn't fade on me. Something to that effect anyways. So he's a great coach, and if he does, I mean, I think he's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer right now. But I think that going out there, winning a Super Bowl with Jarrett Stidham, or even possibly making it, could almost cement himself as a first ballot Hall of Famer for it. And, still can clean up some issues. And hopefully it's cleaned up with Jarrett Stidham, because really got to have the play calling on point all game long and not just for a half and a few other plays here and there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've heard some stuff going on behind the scenes, some conversations about the whole play calling thing, especially with Jarrett Stidham taking over. Maybe we see Davis Webb have a little bit more of a voice in that aspect, not calling plays, but helping Sean Payton really get to know, or not necessarily get to know, but
was he
Sean Payton really
they're so close
call
together,
plays
right?
that Stidham's comfortable with.
Yeah, the relationship between your backup quarterback and your offensive or your QB coach is typically one of the strongest ones on a team between player and coaches. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a reality out there where Broncos go out and play well, and Davis Webb leaves, and wherever he goes, Stidham goes with. I know he's still under contract, but I mean, if somebody's offering, multiple top 100 picks, then you got to consider it. But the matchup, we've been talking all Broncos offense versus Patriots defense, but I mean, the biggest, other than the unknown with quarterback, of course, but the biggest probably talent discrepancy in this game is the Broncos defensive line versus the Patriots offensive line, specifically on the edges. And boy, I'm hoping those Broncos pass rushers can eat in this one. And speaking of eating, we do got to get to our sponsor today.
Yeah. Have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where you can get the most iconic famous foods from restaurants all across the United States. And it's perfect for game day, Valentine's Day, or anything else you have going on. Guys, this is seriously amazing. Goldbilly will ship you iconic Chicago deep dish pizza from Lou Malnati's, the original buffalo wings from Anchor Bar in Buffalo, Guy Fieri's unbelievable trash can tacos, real Philly cheesesteaks, or even the legendary Franklin's barbecue straight from Texas to your door. And with Valentine's Day coming up, they also have great gifts like award-winning dinners from Peter Luger Steakhouse, world famous macaroons from La Durée, and even the exact cake served at JFK's wedding to Jackie O.
The Philly cheesecake caught my eye. I absolutely love the peppers. So good. And it was really delicious. High quality grub delivered to your door, and it lives up to the lofty expectations. I had it, and the legend of the Philly cheesesteak always rings true. It was like having a culinary piece of Philadelphia shipped to me hassle-free. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get as far as quality goes from online food ordering sites, but Goldbilly absolutely delivers. It always tastes amazing. So whether you're looking to turn game day into an unforgettable experience with friends or want to impress a loved one on Valentine's Day, go to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MileHigh. That's goldbelly.com, code MileHigh for 20% off your first order. Keeping it moving along here. Shout out to Goldbelly. Thanks to them for starting and making me hungry. I'm a protein bar in the morning kind of guy, so all this food talk this early still kind of, I'm not totally satiated. So we got Amy Alez coming in here over on Twitter. Amy's always coming over on X Twitter as well. So shout out to you. Hope you're doing well. Clayton Huron over on Facebook says, hey guys, smash that like button and share. We got a super chat coming in from Ted saying, finally watched Stidham highlights. Kind of an odd throwing motion, but otherwise seems capable. Feeling weirdly calm and confident about this. Denver doesn't really have anything to lose, right? I mean, at this point, a lot of people aren't expecting them to do well. It's really unfortunate, I guess, from that perspective, but also takes a lot of the pressure off as well. So obviously the Broncos are exuding confidence from Jarrett Stidham. I mean, when free agency opened, Sean Payton rushed to sign Jarrett Stidham in that first season. It's his third year in the system. As far as like, if I was like doing evaluations, like writing down physical attributes between the two players, I think the ball might actually come out of Stidham's hand prettier, like the flight path, like when it actually from leaving his hand to reaching the receiver. I think it's one of the prettier ones out there, especially in preseason. I mean, just some of those look thrown against air. But the big difference is, well, we don't know about his ability under pressure, I guess, is the big one. And that's both like the pass rush as well as situationally. We have not seen him even close to this. Probably this is the biggest game he's played in since the Iron Bowl, his junior year, which is, we're talking, 8 years ago now. It would have been 2018. So yeah, eight years ago. And as far as physical attributes go, he is not the athlete Bo Nix is. He's not as strong, and especially he's not as twitched up. And that is something that Bo Nix is like unbelievably explosive, I guess is the word I'd use for a quarterback position. He plays like a basketball player where everything's a little bit more elongated build up for Stidham, and that's both as a mover as well as the throwing motion. So, man, Broncos pass rush is going to be, or Broncos pass protection is going to be key in this one. They need to make sure Jarrett Stidham feels protected for all of those reasons combined in that one.
Yeah, but I mean, Jarrett Stidham, he's no slouch either as an athlete.
No.
When he was coming out, when he was entering college football, he was actually the highest rated dual threat quarterback, and he was in a recruiting class with Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson. Obviously, that was years ago. Things have changed, but he is still a pretty good athlete, but not near, again, not quite Bo Nix. Sack avoidance is a big thing. That's probably one of the biggest differences. I know Bo Nix's, Jarrett Stidham's like sack percentage is, granted, not near as much playing time, but his sack percentage is nearly like 3 times as much as Bo Nix's. So it's obviously a concern. And with the way the Patriots like to get pressure, they really love to rely on those it's actually similar to Denver's in some ways. They rely on those interior guys to generate the pressure, to not necessarily generate the pressure, but to generate the one-on-ones outside so they can throw some different pressure looks at them with Clavion Chasen and Harold Landry and letting them get one-on-ones with the tackles. Well, where Barrymore and Milton Williams went on the inside and, draw attention. And then you have Anthony Jennings and some of those other linebackers with the looks that they give to get that, and then they can free up Marcus Jones on the slot blitz. So that's something similar that Denver does in terms of they wanted the attention focused inside, get the one-on-ones outside, and then win off of that with either safety blitz or a corner blitz or stunting, whatever the case may be. So it is a lot of pressure on this offensive line, and a lot of guys who haven't played well. Mike McGlinchey, he's been inconsistent at best this season, especially in pass protection. Run blocking as well has been very inconsistent. Quinn Miners, he's had some issues as of late in pass protection. Luke Wattenberg, if he does play, it's his first game back. If not, well, it doesn't sound very promising that Alex Forsyth is going to be good to go this game, so it might be Sam Mustipher. Then you have Ben Powers, he's been a really good run blocker, but he's had his issues in pass protection. And then you have Garrett Bowles, who's been great, but he still has had some bad games this season. So it's a lot of pressure on them because Denver doesn't really have the tight end capability to be kept in as as an extra receiver or an extra blocker in passing situations, because they need that as the receiving ability out of the tight end position because the wide receivers have their issues. Mm-hmm. So they don't have that ability to provide extra protection, especially with at running back. Tyler Bidet has really struggled in pass protection. If J.K. Dobbins is back, how much do you want him out there blocking when he's coming back from a foot injury and probably relying on him a lot as a runner? So, man, the emphasis, there can't be a bigger emphasis on the offensive line this season than in this game, just because of all that's going to go into that and how little what little things Denver can do to protect them. They just don't have a whole lot of options there.
It's going to be interesting, and I think this is going to be a game where Sean Payton is actually going to be forced to run the football, and I'm expecting a little bit more, even though there's obviously football's a game of give and take, but I'm expecting this is going to be a heavy 21 personnel game I want to see under center I formation a good bit, whether it be Prentice or Atkins back there in that. But I think the Patriots have struggled there, and I know that does invite more bodies into the box, which for a blitz happy team can cause some issues as far as identifying who's coming and who's not and blocking it up. But I do expect, from everything I've heard, Wattenberg is going to be back. And I think Jarrett Stidham, he throws a lot of the same throws that Bo Nix does. I mean, obviously it's the same offense, but even still, like I think what he's comfortable with is similar to Bo Nix. So I'm expecting still to get into check down, sometimes maybe too quickly, but I think we'd rather that than sacks. You just need to string together singles here. And God, does the run game need to show up. I know the Broncos have been inconsistent in the run game. They've kind of, so weird. Football is such a multi-season within a season game, but as of late, the Broncos have actually been a much better success rate football team, which they were horrific at that earlier, while still getting some explosives to, at least give some punch to the run game. They're not hitting any explosives anymore in the run game specifically. It doesn't mean the running backs aren't, because Harvey in the pass game, obviously, but in the run game, they've hit like no explosives. They're one of the worst yards after contact per attempt, yards after contact rushing teams in football. I think they're top 5 in yards before contact. So that would say that the offensive line and the scheme are giving them opportunities. It's just the running backs are not maximizing when they do have those opportunities. So we'll see about Dobbins. I do have a question for you, Eric, just about as far as the running backs go. I'm assuming Dobbins is going to be active. Is that first? That's the first question. You expect that as well?
Yeah, that sounds to be the case. How much to use him? That still seems to be a question, but it sounds like he will be activated off injury reserve and then active for this game.
How many running backs are active in this game?
I asked this question to Lance, I think last Friday, similar to that. Not necessarily how many they are, but who do you make inactive for it? Because 3 is what Denver is, even though I do feel like, as I said earlier, before the season started, and during the season a couple times, it is a little bit easier to get 4 running backs active than it is, like 7 receivers or 6 receivers or that 4th tight end. It's a little bit easier with running backs, especially with how they're using them as that second returner next to Marvin Mims. So it's tough. I think that they will try to find a way for 4 just because of how McLaughlin's been in the run game. But if they only go 3, I think it would be McLaughlin that's out, just because of Tyler Bidet has kind of been that second returner. But it's a tough one because McLaughlin has been probably the better pure runner out of the group as over the last few weeks. And you're making him inactive with RJ Harvey, who's really been struggling, and then J.K. Dobbins coming back. Like I'm really curious to see what they do with the running back room with Dobbins most likely being back.
I think you have to inactivate McLaughlin, even though he's been the better runner, and you're hoping that, he hasn't been getting the ball much anyways, even though he's been effective in his touches. You're still talking, 10 snaps, maybe, for him on the whole, because they obviously do not trust him in pass protection on pass downs, and they still want to get Harvey in there as well. So, yeah, I would expect McLaughlin to be inactive, but I was just curious your thought there, because he has been the most effective runner, but you're talking about like a guy who's maybe a C there, and it's not really impacting the game still, but keeping him on task. At least we got Michael Latsky coming in. Good morning. Good to see you out there in Puerto Rico. Michael's one of my guys. He always sends me, Eric, he sends me some treats from Puerto Rico, and there's these papaya marshmallow cakes that are the most sweet, delicious things I've ever had. They have to be like 10,000 calories, but man, they are so freaking good. So shout out to you, Michael. Appreciate you. Also sent me some coffee from down that way. So hope you're doing well. I did also see QB Easy saying, regardless, he's proud of this team. Hope we make the Super Bowl. My prediction at the beginning of the season was for us to make the Super Bowl next football season. So not this year, but next year. Maybe. But as you see in the NFL, the windows are very small and short, and you want to capitalize when you do get this far. It's really unfortunate for the Broncos, but for, I guess, a recent example is the Lions. They're going to be back every year. Look at how good they are. They built the infrastructure, Dan Campbell, blah, blah, blah. They haven't gotten close. They might have finished 4th in the NFC North this season, if not 3rd. I don't remember if they were 4th or 3rd, because the Vikings quietly won some games down the stretch. But yeah, we'll We'll see. Denver's going to be in the conversation, I think. Now, are they going to be the 1 seed? Are they going in the AFC West? I don't know, but we'll take it game by game, week by week, year by year, blah, blah, blah. Good to see you coming in here. Anthony's saying he bets Denver wins 27-24. Your lips to the football gods here, Anthony. Hopefully. We got Shia coming in here. It says Bears fan here, but cheering for y'all. Sorry about Knicks. I got a lot of love for the Bears as well. A lot of my friends are Bears fans, and my God, Colston Loveland looks like he's going to be quickly one of my favorite players in the league because he just moves different for how big he is. I mean, he is fun as hell. Big Shane coming in says, good morning. Let's go Broncos. Great to see you. We got David Schlosser Jr. coming in here. Shout out to David Schlosser Sr. as well. Everyone leave a like. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. And always love you coming in. Clyde comes in and says, -10 this AM. Whew. Is that a good omen that we will win? Bo Nix, ? Unfortunately, I think the Broncos are -10 in this game and going forward here. Sorry to make the pun, but we got 8, and everybody loves Jarrett Stidham, and he's got the hair as well. So at least we're going to be looking good. Maybe this is the game to have your girlfriends, wives, fiancés tune in and be like, look how handsome that Broncos quarterback is. Like maybe you can get them interested. But it's good to see. Benjamin Flores, hola, good to see you. Jay Brug, let's go Broncos. Our guy Kyle coming in here. Appreciate you, Kyle. Todd Ostendorf, Ryan Yazzie. Man, all our folks coming out. Robbo, man, I just feel so bad for Bo. I mean, I wasn't about to cry, but like Monday's show, Tuesday's show, we spent 10, 15 minutes just being like heart ripped out for Bo Nix. But it just is what it is. So I feel bad for him. He's a man of very strong faith, and he has a very good support system in place. Again, the thing that sucks is you don't know if you're going to be back to this point, or if you are, how long it's going to be. But he's earned my respect. We had questions coming into this year. I'm always very test and retest, scientific method kind of person. Is he a top 5 quarterback in the NFL? I'm not going to say that yet. Some of you might, and I would, God bless you. Is he a franchise quarterback in the top 12? Yeah, I think we can say that. And boy, with just who he is, like his determination is the wrong word, but his steadiness in those like tough situations, like he is somebody you want in the trenches with you. Like the players love him, and man, I'm just excited to see what this next 3-4 years look like with this team. But first, let's bring home some hardware. I mean, even if you win this game, I think you bring home some hardware, right? Like there's a trophy for the AFC Championship game as well. So one game at a time. 8:05. Good morning, Broncos fans. Let's go, Stiddy. Absolutely. And Jay Bruce says, let's say Stidham balls out and wins us the Super Bowl. Do you think the Broncos will trade him next season? It always depends on the offer. But if he balls out, I'm guessing, especially in this quarterback class, somebody's going to be calling. And you know me, Eric. I'm always like, can I get a little bit of extra value in picks years down the line because I'm willing to be patient because I'm not going anywhere, right? But especially with how this 2026 class is stepping up. But even if Jarrett Stidham has, a really good AFC Championship game and they lose, like forget about team outcome or even getting to the Super Bowl, there's a chance that somebody's going to be wanting to trade for him. And I don't know if you caught the Jordan Palmer interview, Eric, but it was either, I think, this offseason or the trade deadline, somebody offered like a pretty good, according to Jordan Palmer, somebody offered a pretty good trade to bring in Jarrett Stidham, and the Broncos rebuffed it pretty quickly and immediately. So maybe they wouldn't trade him. Bo Nix has now had this ankle breaking 3 times, different 2 on one on the other, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah. Not only that, there are a lot of teams that went hard after him last offseason when he signed that 2-year extension in Denver. The Patriots were one of them. From what I understand, he was basically deciding between the Patriots and the Broncos, and then obviously chose the Broncos. And also with Jordan Palmer's, I hadn't seen that yet, but at the trade deadline, I know that there's at least 2 teams that called about his availability. I didn't know that if an offer was made or not, but there was definitely some interest there in him. And it doesn't surprise me. He is a very coveted backup quarterback just because people are praising him for his smarts and then the work that he's done under Sean Payton. He has a lot of respect in the NFL. And from other people in the NFL, not just those in the Broncos, Sean Payton said that he thinks he's a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. And I know there are other people in the NFL who feel the same way. So it is something that no matter what, I think, unless he goes out there and just completely stinks it up, I think no matter what, your teams will be calling about his availability in the offseason. Obviously, how the better he plays, the more they might be willing to offer. But I think no matter what, there's going to be interest on it because his contract is still very team favorable for it. And if you're looking for a bridge quarterback for a year, or you have a young quarterback that you just want a veteran presence there, that's learned from Sean Payton, well, you have Jarrett Stidham there for a year, and then be able to potentially recoup what you gave up with a compensatory pick when free agency after the 2026 season, so a little over a year from now. So there's definitely plenty of options. I think no matter what, though, there's going to be interest in Jarrett Stidham as a trade candidate this offseason.
Keeping an eye on wherever Vance Joseph goes. Keeping an eye on if any of this Broncos offensive staff is poached elsewhere as well, because obviously for offensive install, if your quarterback already has experience in it, that seems just to be an obvious path. So we'll see. I mean, do you think I don't know what's going on with Vance Joseph's head coaching search right now. It feels like hot and cold, but congrats to him. Pro Football Writers of America, assistant coach of the year. But let's say he goes to Arizona. Would Arizona be willing to offer a 3 this year and a 2027 first? I don't know. But they're not going to give up 3 overall this season. I wouldn't expect, even though just the sample's not big enough for Jarrett Stidham, I think, to offer a 3rd even. But in this class, it's not very good. Like your 3 overall is probably closer to your like typical year 9 overall, 10 overall. But even still, I don't know. But we'll see. We're definitely getting ahead of ourselves, and you got to take care of what's in front of you first. Talking about the offseason as well. Proud Sonny Damon coming in here says, how do you think the wide receiver will look next season? If we bring in a playmaker, who's in and who's out, will we pay Mims? So you still have another year of control with Mims. So you don't have to worry about that yet. You could pay him, but I don't know. I mean, he's got 2 games to change the narrative. That's for sure. If he plays like he did against the Bills, people are going to be screaming for, let's get this done. And when he's been given opportunities, granted, some of them are schemed up, but still, like he's delivered, I feel like, when they've thrown him the ball, more or less. So we'll see. Maybe it's just one of those gamers. The wide receiver room is so weird because the Broncos could obviously use a ringer in the wide receiver room. I do think they have a 1, not an ace, but a 1 in Courtland Sutton. When I talk about a 1, somebody who's like not top 8, but in that, like, obviously they're still a 1 if they're an ace, but he's somewhere probably 12 to 20 in the wide receiver pecking order in the NFL. So that's a 1. It's just not like a superstar. And then you have a bunch of 2s and 3s. So like, what do the Broncos really need? They need a high-end wide receiver. In a bad draft class, picking 29 through 32, I mean, you still can take that shot. You never know, right? But I just don't know if you're going to get actually like that much of a different profile than what you have already in Franklin, Bryant, Mims. And it's a young wide receiver room as well. So I'd expect Denver to be aggressive at wide receiver. Maybe bring in somebody, still all the same, but I'd expect them to be aggressive, whether it be trading up or trading a 1st-round pick to go hunt for somebody who's more of a difference maker. But I think the real obvious areas where you can improve the offensive infrastructure around the quarterback is bringing in a veteran Y that actually has some 2-way ability, as well as solidifying the running back position a bit more. So, I mean, wide receiver, that seems like the obvious one, most valuable position on offense next to quarterback, probably. But you're kind of saturated with a lot of the same kind of skill sets that are going to be most available to you, or like abilities. So it's going to be an odd one. It's going to be an odd one for sure. I know everybody's going to be screaming for offensive weapons this offseason. I would love one. You're not like the Bears picking in the top 10 where you have a chance at a Dunze and then Colson Loveland for those type of guys. Maybe there's a Luther Burden that falls. I don't know if there is one this season. Maybe KC Concepcion can be that guy. I don't know. But yeah, what do you think, Eric, as far as the wide receivers go? I'd love an offensive weapon. It's the number 1 need for this team, somebody that they can like build the ship around. But I don't know. The pathways are obvious.
I think they're going to be very aggressive in their attempts, either through free agency or a trade. maybe even, I mean, it could be a trade up as well in the draft, but I think they're really looking for a veteran there. They've been really hunting for that, even going back to last offseason, for somebody to pair it with Cortland Sutton and help raise that room a little bit and help take some of that pressure off. Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant, they've been fine, but they seem to be more of a 3-4 fit. And then you have Marvin Mims. So the one who's out, I think, is little Jordan Humphrey. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear a potential, move to tight end for him again this offseason, like we saw last year, before he ended up going to the Giants there for the longest time. So there's a lot. They know internally they need to improve the wide receiver room. They really have made attempts to improve the wide receiver room. I expect that to continue. Tight end, I expect them to be very aggressive in tight end market, especially if a couple, veteran wide tight ends or dual threat tight ends, the math changers, if a couple of their contracts void as they're expected, obviously the team that they're with can still, do a different new deal with them and get them extended out and make it so that contract doesn't void. So they have options there. And then running back, I think they're going to be very aggressive there as well, adding to the room. Basically, they're going to be very aggressive adding playmakers, at least trying to add playmakers to this offense to help alleviate the pressure and help of, off the quarterback and the guys that they do have at those positions already, and just make, each of the rooms more balanced and rounded.
And to be fair, also, it's a very young room for the most part too. So like some of the improvement of the wide receiver room could just be the natural progression of some of these guys in house. I mean, They obviously freaking love Pat Bryant, right? Like you said he's 3-4. I mean, maybe I'm paraphrasing you, but I think there's a chance he could end up being a number 2 still in the league. Now, granted, I think about offensive weaponry as like a basketball team somewhat. So like he can be your wide receiver too, but be picking order 3 in the weapons. And that would be probably more ideal, just because I don't know if he has the overall explosiveness, athleticism, yak ability that I'd like from there, but we'll see. But spent a lot of time talking about, off-season stuff as well. And at some point, I know everybody's going to be against me in the chat, but I'm still going to be screaming trenches at the end of the day, because that's just who I am. And I don't know if you saw this stat, Eric, but the top 4 remaining teams in football this season were all 1, 2, 3, and 4 in terms of interior defensive line pressures this season. So getting home, ideally without blitzing, but getting your interior pressure, making sure that the pocket isn't there for the quarterback to step up, really mucking up with their timing and their footwork is key. And Denver's set to lose one of their top guys there in a draft that does not have 3-4 defensive end body types. It's really pretty bizarre, honestly. Unless Keldrick Falk, does something stupid and falls down to Denver. I would love him. He's probably going to go top 10. But yeah, we'll see. It comes down to, just in general in football, but especially this week as well, can Denver exert their will on the lines of scrimmage? You can do that, you got a chance in any freaking football game. You could have Eric and I at wide receiver. If you're exerting your will in the trenches, you're going to win a lot of freaking football games.
Yeah, and that's one thing that they really got to keep up. It's one of the big reasons why, I still am a big, they need to extend John freaking Myers. I mean, it sounds like that they're gonna, let him walk, and that they're gonna turn to a combination of Uwazurike and Savion Jones, and then either another vet in there as part of the rotation, or a draft. But that just seems to be the way they're headed towards. And I'm not sure about Uwazurike in that role, even on rundowns. I'm not sure. We haven't seen enough of Savion Jones. Yeah, he had that fumble recovery, but it was kind of like right place, right time kind of play, more so than the great play by him. Still, I mean, so securing a fumble, it's not as easy as it looks to be, especially with, so many big bodies around. So credit to him, not trying to take away from it, but still unsure about him. And that as a, that pass rusher, on the level that John Frankenmeyers can be, where, last few weeks of the game or of the season, John Frankenmeyers was the pass rusher for them, as Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper were struggling a little bit more. And this draft, there's not a lot of bodies there, as you said, for it. I mean, it's a lot of guys that are more traditional stand-up edges that maybe you bulk up, who they play about 280 as it is. So maybe you have them put on another 10, 15 pounds, similar to what, Savion Jones did, or the path that he kind of took. He was more of a traditional interior defensive lineman that moved around, but he was still kind of used as that bigger edge in a lot of ways at LSU at times. So There's definitely options. I know there's a kid from probably a day 3 pick. There's a kid from USC that is being compared favorably in terms of play style to John Frankenmeyer's, but he's one of those 280, 285-pound kids. Just not a lot of options for it, but so gotta find somebody. And then real quick, Kyle saying desperately need D tackle that's 330 plus. Good news. There's a lot of them in this year's class, and that's probably where defensive line is the best, is those big nose tackles.
Yeah, I was a little bit bummed that Ahmed Moten decided to go back. He's 6'3", 330, and 99 for Miami. But talking about that Miami defensive line and the 3-4 body types, I'm not sure about the length, Eric, but Akeem Messidor, I know he's 24 years old, but in this kind of draft class, and maybe that's just going to be the landscape of drafts going forward with NIL and everything, but he's 6'3", 285. So he is one to keep an eye on. I think Dane in his latest mock had him going 30 overall. So he's in range and maybe one of those body types to keep an eye on as well. But yeah, really good nose tackle class coming up here for the Broncos. Montana wants a stud tight end in this year's draft class. I just have to say, like, what you've seen from Bowers, Loveland, and Warren is very much a historical outlier for tight ends. Typically a tight end, you're talking about if you draft a guy, you're getting more value 2.5 years down the road. And I think that's going to be more typical in this class, just because this class is so poor at the top. Kenyon Sadiq is going to go pretty high out of Oregon. He's really a good athlete and a pretty good blocker, long arms, but man, he's raw. Yeah. He's just I think in a normal draft class, maybe you're talking about him falling to 20, 30, but this one he might go a little higher just because there's not a lot of guys at the top. 8 to 10 first round draft grades. So after that, it's a bunch of guys who I wouldn't want to touch until pick 80. Honestly, like it's deep, a deeper tight end class, I think, Eric, but not overly top heavy, I guess.
And I'd say with the tight end class, it is definitely one or the other type of class. There's not a lot of guys that are, those dual threat in lines, that the math changers. You either have some really good blockers or you have some really good receivers. There are a few options when that can be a little bit both, and they're all those few options. The biggest one is Nowakowski out of Indiana, and there's a lot of conversation about, is he really a tight end? Is he more of a fullback? Like,
don't care.
I think he's good enough to be a math changer. He's only supposed to be like maybe 6'2". But I think he's probably one of those guys that can be a math changer. I really do like him a lot. I think there's some other really good blockers in here. Not quite Jackson Hawes out of Georgia Tech level, but not far behind him. So there's definitely, if Broncos want to improve their blocking, they have options there. But again, just math changers, those guys that change the way defenses play because of what their ability to be in line as a receiver and as a blocker. There are not many of those guys in this class, and it is a bad year to be needing that, which is, again, part of why I think that Denver's going to be very aggressive in the free agent aspect of it, going after a guy like that.
Dallas Goedert, baby. Let's do it. I know he's older and had some injuries, but man, what he's done in the red zone has been pretty darn awesome, and he's a good blocker. We'll see about Njoku. I've been thinking, is he going to follow Stefanski? But then the Falcons are going to have to pay London, Bijan, and Pitts here. So, like, are they going to pay Njoku as well? I don't know. We'll see. They have a rookie quarterback contract, but they're not married to Penix by any means. I was pretty bummed to see Jamari Johnson heading back to Oregon as well. He'd have been tight end too, I think, for me. He just looks like a freaking monster tight end out of Oregon. They have the best two in the league this year. Yeah, he's 6'5", 260. Boy, it looks like it. He's a freaking unit. He might be tight end one next season in 2027. But I digress. Keys to the game, Eric. Keys to the game. My X factor for the Broncos in this one on offense. Patriots blitz a lot. Jarrett Stidham's probably going to have to get rid of the ball pretty quickly on some of these ones. And I feel like because of the Bo Nix injury and the controversy around the catch from Brandon Cooks, we haven't talked about it enough, but RJ Harvey, what he did on that in the overtime on that play on the out pass, he's going to have to be key in this one. I think he is the offensive X factor in this one, getting the ball to him in space and forcing the Patriots to tackle in the cold for a team that, especially if you're making them get into more heavy personnel, prove it. Prove that you can bring down the guy with the cold turf as well. So Harvey is my X factor in this one. The Broncos got to figure out You could also say like Dobbins is. I mean, Stidham is the ultimate X factor, right? But I'm going to go with Harvey in this one. I just think how the Patriots play defense. This could be one where Harvey has a few catches out of the backfield that really change the entire complexion of the game.
To be different, I would have said Harvey, but to be different, I'm going to say Lil Jordan Humphrey. And part of that is some stuff that's been coming out about Jarrett Stidham. How even going back to when Stidham started to those 2 games to end 2023, who was his favorite target? Lil Jordan Humphrey. His favorite target in practice.
He had that amazing touchdown, right? Versus the Chargers, like 60 yards.
Yeah, there's a connection there between Lil Jordan Humphrey and Jarrett Stidham. So this is one, especially with how much they like to be aggressive with, some of the size issues that the Patriots have in their secondary. Lil Jordan Humphrey lining up in the slot, that can give them some advantages in, we've seen what he can do on some of those, quick slants, getting him the ball quickly. He can be tough to tackle. So I'm going to go Lil Jordan Humphrey, but got to say, he's got to make sure he catches the ball, right? Like that's a big thing for him to be the X factor.
Yep. And QB Easy comes in and says both teams are used to the cold weather. They are. And for this one, to some extent, though, I think the cold weather hurts the Patriots more on their offense because as good as Drake May is as a quarterback prospect, I mean, I absolutely loved him coming out. He has small hands. And with that, we've seen a propensity that he will put the ball on the turf. There's been a lot of strip sacks. I think he's put the ball on the turf at least 4 times in the last 2 games. Now, granted, he's getting hit quickly and a lot. Daniel Hunter, obviously, with the Chargers, have an underrated pass rush as well. Tuli Pelotu is like really underrated. He's a hell of a player. There's a reason he's one of the few that was sat versus the Broncos in that last week game because he's good. But Drake May has small hands. And with that, you can swipe at the freaking football if you get home. So Broncos pass rush, Hunt, we saw it kind of last week. There was the one obviously with Nick Bonito. This is a quarterback with, if it's cold, he's getting hit with small hands. You have a real good chance to dislodge that football and make the game swinging play, kind of like the Broncos in Super Bowl 50, right? Like that touchdown, strip sack touchdown, completely different game from there. Script changes. You're in protect mode at that point. So I think my X factor for that reason, and somebody that I think you probably hinted at earlier when we opened the show, I'm going to go with Jonathan Cooper as an X factor because he has been so underwhelming since the bye week. And I mean, you even have Brian Baldinger, who's typically like, pretty rah positive about the players, careful to, protect his relationships and like will only dish out negativity if he really feels that way. And he said Cooper's been a no-show since the bye week, like completely gone. And I'll even go a step further. He's been detrimental in some of the quarterback run contain as well, trying to do too much, maybe cheating. The pressures have not been there. I mean, I'm going to be honest. He's at the point where I'm like, okay, we probably need to look at edge rushers in the draft because it's a value position and then trade Cooper. I mean, the contract isn't big, but he's been one of the weakest players in that front 7 here. And I feel like nobody's talking about, we've kind of talked about it without totally, crapping on him, but to have like somebody like Brian Baldinger come out and say that, it's like, okay, well, at least like if somebody like that is saying that, there's, it's been an issue.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And I got to say on the cold weather aspect of it, also cold weather, it can be difficult, but cold weather in the thin air of Denver is even worse than just like regular cold weather. It is like, it's already hard to breathe in that cold weather. It just like pierces the lungs. So definitely in Denver favor with that. And then Jonathan Cooper, we can say what it is, say it as it is. He's been a liability for this defense. His play as a pass rusher, especially, has been selfish. He's been chasing those sacks and forgetting lane integrity, led to a lot of scrambles and, getting out of the pocket. There were some plays against the Bills where I know a lot of people are absolutely eating up on Alex Singleton at fault, but it's been some of the selfish play at the edge rushers. Nick Bonito was included on one of those as well. So you definitely need both of them to step up. But I'm going to put my X factor on the defensive X factor on Talanoa Hufanga. I mean, with the way that the tight ends are used as part of that offense with Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, it's you got to be able to eliminate that. You need Talanoa Hufanga to kind of be a tone setter. Obviously, Nick Bonito up front, you need a big game for him. One of my favorite stats coming into this game, since 2000, there's only been 2 pass rushers who've had 3+ sacks and 2 or more fumbles in a game, and it's been Odafe Owe and Will Anderson, both against Will Campbell and the Patriots this year. So Nick Benito needs to be big, but I think Hufanga to help alleviate a lot of the concerns that we have with the secondary, where again, multiple coverage miscommunications and against the Bills. That's been a consistent issue since that mini bye week. Not sure what it is, and it's often come with either at the hands of Riley Moss, not so much in the Bills game, or Dre Greenlaw, the Bills game. You need Hufanga to be that guy to help cover up those issues a little bit with the linebackers, especially against the type of tight ends that they have, who, when pressure's on, both those tight ends really become that outlet for Drake May. They really are that safety blanket for him.
Okay, and I got to verify something here real quick, Eric. I don't see this. Michael's saying Pelissaro said Dobbins will not play against the Patriots. I'm on Tom Pelissaro's page right now, and I'm not seeing that on there. So if somebody could verify that one, but we will see, I guess, on that one. But yeah, I had a question for you about Nick Benito. Obviously, Will Campbell has been struggling. We had our own personal conversation about his value of the pick. So far, he looks like, if I was the Patriots, I had Membu rated higher just because I thought Campbell was destined to be inside. I think Membu has a better athletic profile, which I tend to gravitate towards. And also this Tedero McMillan, obviously in hindsight, probably a better pick for them, value at wide receiver. But Will Campbell has had 2 of the worst playoff games for an offensive tackle that I can think of the last 2 weeks, against 2 really good pass rushers, of course. But Owe and Anderson are very different type of players than Nick Benito. They are like 2 of the more powerful players in all of football at the edge rushing spot. And Benito's more speed, get around the edge. Now, Campbell's had issue giving up the edge in this one as well. I'm just curious if you think it'll translate, because of those guys' profiles. They're just a different type of pass rusher than Benito, where they have, obviously, I mean, Anderson might be the strongest pound-for-pound player in the entire NFL, and Odafe Owe has always been, a Greek god type of athlete.
Yeah, so obviously the different profiles hurt, and the way Odafe Owe won was a little bit different than the way Will Anderson won, and the way Nick Benito's got to win is going to be a little bit different. One thing that when I was watching over the Patriots, between building shelves and moving stuff this week, one thing that I noticed with Will Anderson is that arm length. It's been a question for him. It's a big reason why we've come back to him being moved inside, which the Patriots, they need to talk about Jared Wilson to center and then Will Campbell to left guard. But the lack of length is an issue, and when he has to deal with that and confront that issue that he has, he does so by lunging. And Nick Benito, he does well doing that. Against I think it was the Dallas Cowboys. There was a play where Tyler Guyton lunged into contact with him, and he just wiped those hands and got after the Dak Prescott wasn't able to finish a play. It's something that he does really well, is when players lunge, he keeps their hands off of them. So as long as he can force Will Campbell to lunge at him and be able to take advantage of that, I think he's going to be able to have success. And he's obviously some of that speed to, challenge the arch. That's the easiest way to take advantage of the lack of length for a offensive lineman. You just get around the edge quickly and, make that path wide. And you got to be able to have somebody to fill in the gap in front of it, because you're definitely not losing contain when you do that. So there's ways for Nick Benito to win, and Denver needs him to be, at his best in this game, to not necessarily, be, 3 sack, 2+ fumble game from him, but they need it to be a big game from him in disrupting Drake May.
And we don't have very much time left. I mean, we could talk about this game for another hour, but alas, I'm going to be really basic and simple, but I need to have a mug, or we need to brand something. But turnovers are going to be so key in this game, protecting the football, getting to Drake May, taking advantage of when you have those turnovers as well. I will be curious, Eric, your thought on this one. You see it happen all the time in games where the ball's on the ground and a defensive player will go to try to make a play on the football rather than just securing it. I wonder what are you coaching on this one? Is it just secure the football to get it back, Or is this one where you have to try to steal points and field position where you need to be a playmaker with that ball as well and risk potentially the other team picking it up?
Secure the ball, always. Secure the ball. That's uh I talking with some defensive coaches, and after that, that is the thing that they all want. It's kind of that, to put it bluntly, it's a selfish aspect of a lot of players when they go for that. Obviously, it's a little bit different depending on certain situations, like the one with Nick Bonita where he chased down Josh Allen and there was almost no Bills really in the area. A couple offensive linemen ended up getting into the picture. Things change in that, but things in terms of strip sacks, especially, secure the ball first and foremost. If you're able to make a play after that, great, but secure the ball. Don't go try to pick it up while you're on the run. Don't do any of that. Fall on it, secure it, give the ball to the offense, take that possession away, and then let your offense go try to do work. Obviously, a defensive touchdown is great, but you're paid to get the ball away. You're not paid to score points. You're paid to take the ball away. You're paid to keep them from scoring points. Secure it. Let your offense do their job.
Awesome. Well, that would be huge. Again, for me, if the Broncos, we haven't even really talked about it too much, but the Patriots' run game has been better as of late with how they can use Ramondre Stevenson paired with Travion Henderson. Obviously, if you give up a 50-yard touchdown to Travion Henderson, your chances of winning the game probably drop dramatically. So you do have to limit the explosives. But I really hope the Broncos defense is pissed off after how they handled the run game against the Bills. Now, granted, this is not the same kind of offensive line as the Bills have. They're a lot more finesse. They do not have the size, weight, power advantage that the Bills have against pretty much everybody, but especially how the Broncos play defense. But for this game, we talk about Drake May with strip sacks. You're going to get those opportunities, especially with an isolated Will Campbell, depending on how you do on first and second down. So we'll see how we do with that. The other aspect that we haven't talked about so much with the run game is Drake May is not Josh Allen with football in his hands, but he is a darn good runner as well. So Broncos have really struggled with that since the bye week as far as quarterbacks extending plays. So that'll be a big key as well. The one final thing I wanted to get to, Eric, in this one, we have a battle of special teams in this matchup and two special teams aces as well. Now, I do miss Kadarian Smith from the Broncos, or from the Texans from the Broncos. It'd been nice to have him this season. I understand why they moved on. But Devon Key, obviously, all pro. And then the Patriots also have a standout special teams guy in Brendan Schuler. You will recognize him because he's got the hair flowing out there. So Broncos, you're playing a backup quarterback. You're a home underdog in the AFC playoffs. Obviously, lines of scrimmage and, of course, turnovers, but special teams. Can you be the team that makes the play on special teams? Blocked punt. We saw it in the NCAA championship. Eric, you probably didn't watch it. Blocked punt for a touchdown. I mean, game changes with that. They win because of that specifically. So I just have to say, the Broncos, I wouldn't say they'd steal this game. If they get to the Super Bowl, it'd be stealing a game probably against the Seahawks or the Rams. But special teams, Rizzy getting some head coach interviews. Let's see you make a big play to help your offense. This is going to be a team effort, and that means 3 phases. Somebody go make a play.
Yeah, and if the Broncos defense can force a punt, and I say if because they allowed the Bills to go 10 for 14 on third down, the Broncos have a massive advantage here. The Patriots are not a good punt coverage team. Mm-hmm. That is their biggest weakness. They were, I believe, in the bottom 5 in DVOA on punt coverage specifically. I know they were just one of the worst units in the NFL. So if Denver can force a punt, that is a huge advantage. It's a huge opportunity for Marvin Mims to, make a play for the positive play for the team on special teams, a way that he can help contribute to one outside of offense. But you got to be able to get that done on defense. On coverage units, Denver's got to be careful of, I believe, kickoff coverage, because Marcus Jones, I think, is their primary kick returner. Maybe it's also punts for them as well. But Marcus Jones, who's, their defensive back that flies around and is such a boomer bust player there when it comes to takeaways or giving up big plays. But he's been a pretty good returner for them as well when he's been called upon. So got to be on point with it, with special teams on all aspects of it. And you got to be able to get there. Again, you got to have your defense be able to force punts to give one of your best playmakers an opportunity to make a play in an area where he makes plays the best.
Oh man, big game. Pusher comes in here, says any news on Drew Sanders? His window opened, but I think his window is open through the Super Bowl. So his window is opened in extent of if you win this game and you have an injury at linebacker, I would believe, or special teams as well. So he's not going to play. He has not been activated. I would expect to see, personally, Dobbins and Wattenberg activated this one. I think that would still leave the Broncos with 2 more activations, Eric. They'd have plenty still in the tank. We're not expecting Brandon Jones ever. Bo Nix's season's officially done. He's never put on, or he was put on IR. I don't know.
He wasn't yet.
He wasn't yet. So Saturday, look for that. But yeah, man, what a game. Nobody, I mean, people are still going to tune in. It's the AFC Championship game. Denver could get blown out. I mean, in any game that can happen, right? Just we don't know what Jarrett Stidham. Maybe the moment's too big and he pees down his leg. You just don't know. But I'm expecting it to be a good game. I want your score prediction.
So on the whole thing with injured activations, I believe Denver still has 5. You know, you have 8 during the regular season, you get 2 more, they stack, and 2 more in the playoffs, it stacks. So you get 10 if you make the playoffs. I think Denver's only used 5. So they have plenty. Drew Sanders, I still think is, you know, as you said, but my score prediction, I have Denver winning, and it's not a 1-score game. I have Denver winning by 9, I think is what it is.
Whoa.
And it's, I think I had it 27-18. So throughout the season, when watching the Patriots game, I noticed that there's been a lot of times where in big moments late in the game, Drake May has been a little bit prone to some more problematic throws. Not necessarily interceptions, just more problematic, a little bit more turnover-worthy plays, I think would be the best way to put it. And I think Denver's defense is going to be on the look for that, and they're going to, you know, try to keep that turnover trend going. I think they force extra possessions, and I think it's not quite as bad as the Bills game, but I think it's definitely a boomer bust where they either get the turnover or they struggle to get off the field against the Patriots offense. But the offense, I think, does enough with the extra possessions that the defense is able to steal and walks out with a win, including another late turnover that Denver is able to score a touchdown on and make it that 9-point difference.
All the talk about the quarterbacks, everybody viewing football games like it's quarterback and quarterback, like it's the stupid NBA. Sorry for NBA fans. I haven't watched an NBA game probably in 10 years. But it's not. It's a team versus team game. And I think we've really seen that this season. I mean, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes didn't make the freaking playoffs this year. So Drake May, one of the Super Bowl or one of the MVP candidates. Obviously, he could win it or Stafford, but it's a team game at the end of the day. And I think Broncos are going to have a chance. And if it was at New England, I don't know, man. But at Denver, I think it's going to be rabid. It's going to be cold. How does Drake May do in the cold? He has not. I know New England's a cold weather team, but he hasn't played many games in the cold. And when he has, it hasn't been necessarily good. And Denver at home, Eric, they've lost 1 game in Denver in the last 467 days. 1 game. It was that Jags game. Jags had their number that day. They executed in the red zone. Denver didn't. I'm going to go with Denver in this one. I have the right to change it for what I send to Chad here in an hour. But for the sake of the chat, not coming after me here and still loving me, please love me. I'm going to go with Broncos winning this one. I'm going to go 23-20. So we'll see. I see Shannon Mills coming in here. She's thinking 24-21. How are the Pats corners and safeties? They might have the best secondary in football. Honestly, Christian Gonzalez is probably one of the top 4 cornerbacks in football. And Carlton Davis, even though he doesn't turn the ball over, Eric, good cornerback. So go ahead.
Carlton Davis, he's tied for the most penalized player in the NFL. He actually leads the all NFL in both defensive holding and defensive pass interference. I would look for Denver to get a matchup with him on Cortland Sutton, who is the 12th most 12th highest beneficiary at wide receiver in drawing penalties, particularly defensive pass interference and defensive holding.
Would be Sean Payton surely knows that. Stack him up, baby. And Dylan with a good stat in the background. Patriots are 0-4 against the Broncos in the playoffs. Obviously, we all remember the AFC Championship game, 2 AFC Championship games, and also the Champ Bailey one. I think the other one happened in like 86, 87, which I was not around. These guys are delusional. Well, Carlos, we'll see what happens. I know Carlos is a New England fan. Don't boot him, Dylan, even though he's a little bit spicy sometimes to us. But we'll see, Carlos. I think it's going to be a good game. If the Patriots win, tip of the cap. I'm a big Drake May fan. Obviously, also Trayvon Henderson. Love him. And I like Mike Vrabel, too. So we'll see what happens. But I'm in the Jarrett Stidham phase right now, and we'll see what happens. And yeah, we didn't even talk about the tight ends. Could be a big game for the tight ends too, with how Broncos, Singleton, and Hufanga have struggled in one high safety shell coverages as of late. So we'll see. Should be a good game. We do got to get on out of here. These two delusional guys. Hope you have a good one, Carlos. hope come back here, and if we get beat, make sure you rub it in our face. But if we win, don't be shy. Come say hi, and we were respectful, and we'll see what happens. I'm really excited. So I wish it was tomorrow, Eric. I don't want to have to wait until Sunday, but it is what it is. Make sure you guys are following us at Mile High Huddle. Of course, we're over at I'm at Nick Kendall MHH. Eric's at Eric Trickle. Dylan's at Dylan Von Arks MHH. What a cool last name, Dylan. Much better than Kendall or Trickle. Sorry to Eric, but Von Arks. I mean, just pretty badass. Sounds like a He-Man character. Check us out on Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. And of course, we're over on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, all that good shit, all that good stuff. Oh, man. Really excited. Cold morning. Good to see you, Pearl. Time to go? Is that what you're saying? Or shame?
No. Shame. We all heard that slip. We all heard it.
What did honest to God, what did I say?
You said a bad word.
I'm
gonna tell the boss man on you.
Well, crap. Let me be PG on this one. Appreciate it, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. I said SHIT. Well, almost slipped up. See, almost.
No, it was there. It was there. I heard the T.
Man, I'm totally blanking on it right now. I don't even remember it, having said it, but we heard it. Well, appreciate you. Magica coming in here. Man. I don't know, Eric, any final words? We got to go.
No, I hope you all have a wonderful Friday. I will see you all tonight.
All right. Well, have a good one, guys. Beat the Pats. Let's go Stidham. Let's go Broncos. Enjoy. It's been a hell of a season. Peace.